2 West Memphis police officers are dead tonight, killed in the line of duty around the noon hour today.
What happened was so senseless. It was senseless.
What happened on May 20th, 2010 was something the town of West Memphis, Arkansas will never forget, particularly its police chief, Bob Powdert.
We're leaving 626 en route to your location. There's no such thing as a routine police call. Nothing is routine.
On that day in May, Officer Bill Evans is patrolling the interstate and pulls over a white van with an out-of-state plate. Inside the van are Jerry Kane and his 16-year-old son, Joe.
The license that didn't appear right when he stopped the van. And then when he checked it, the paperwork certainly was not in order. It was not issued by the state.
Instead, the paperwork is issued by the Department of Heaven. A bit suspicious, Evans calls for backup, and a second officer arrives on the scene.
I think they realized that it was up. There was 2 officers there then, and they were in trouble.
Off camera, Jerry Kane pushes Officer Evans down an incline, and then, on the dash cam, Kane's son Joe appears with a gun.
Bill is stumbling down this incline. He shoots at him. He didn't have time to get his weapon out. He hit him many times in the body, in the back.
At that point, the second officer tries to help Evans, but the 16-year-old turns his weapon on him.
Officer down, 277 westbound.
A delivery driver witnesses the whole scene.
These guys just shot a police officer.
Through the statements of the driver, this kid was very methodical, very slow, knew exactly what he was doing, and he handled that AK-47 like a military person would.
The father-son team calmly gets back in the van and takes off, leaving the officers bleeding on the ground. Shortly after, more police arrive and find that Officer Evans is alive, but just barely.
And there was about 3 officers standing over him, and they were saying, "Bill, you're going to be okay, man. Bill, you're going to be okay." There was quite a bit of blood around. And then I saw another officer lying on his back. One of the sergeants stopped me and said, "Don't go up there."
Sadly, that second officer lying on the ground is the son of the police chief, 39-year-old Brandon Powdert.
Well, I pushed him aside, and I went up there, and I saw Brandon lying on his back, facing straight up, with his pistol in his right hand. To find your son in the condition I found Brandon, no parent should ever have to endure that pain, ever.
Officer Bill Evans dies later at the hospital, but Brandon Powdert is dead at the scene.
It was the worst day of my life ever. We still are affected and will be affected to the day we die by Brandon's death.
With the suspects on the loose, an all-out manhunt begins.
911.
There's a white van sitting here in the parking lot here at Walmart.
Less than a mile from the shooting, the white van is spotted in a Walmart parking lot. Gunfire erupts between the suspects in the van and other police officers. Then, out of nowhere, comes Mike Neal, an Arkansas wildlife officer who has his police scanner on.
And I pulled my M4 up and I was driving towards the suspects. I was holding the steering wheel with my left hand and the M4 with my right. And I drove straight towards him. I made the decision at that point to ram the van to shut it down.
The suspects begin firing, spraying Neal's truck with bullets. Within a matter of minutes, it's all over. Jerry Kane and his son Joe are dead. Whether it's Mike Neal's gun that silences the duo is not certain. Other officers were also firing at them.
There was bullet holes that went through the top, went right above my head. I took multiple rounds into the grill, the hood, through the dash, the windshield. Everywhere I was sitting in the truck was shot. There's no reason I shouldn't have been shot.
It's obvious that Mike Neal was a hero in this case. Had those 2 got out of that van and got in Walmart, there's untold how many lives would have been lost.
Still, the question remains why all this happened in the first place. The West Memphis police discover that Jerry and Joe Kane were radical right members of the Sovereign Citizens Movement. The Kanes traveled America, giving seminars on how to avoid following some of the laws of this country. This video was posted on YouTube by one of the seminar's participants who wanted to spread their message.
You're being lied to just so we can wrap our hands around your throat.
They don't have to go by any rules of this country. They misinterpret the Constitution. They say that the federal laws do not affect them, that they have their own laws.
At the time of the murders of officers Evans and Powdert, no one at the West Memphis Police Department had heard of the organization.
We were totally caught unprepared, and we won't be again.
Chief Powdert is informing other law enforcement communities about the sovereign citizens movement, and he's on what many view as a controversial mission, arming his police force with more powerful weaponry and changing police procedure so that what happened to his son and fellow officer won't happen again.
We're arming our police officers with AR-15 rifles. When an officer does a traffic stop, a backup officer will be standing out in front of his patrol car with an AR-15. I know we'll catch some heat from some in the communities, but I personally don't care. I'm here to save officers' lives.
If each police officer doesn't believe they're going to war every day they pin that gun and badge on, they're living in a false world.
Reflecting on his son's death and the dangerous criminals police face every day, Chief Powdert is convinced if officers Bill Evans and Brandon Powdert had the right information and the right ammunition, the outcome would have been very different.
Brandon would have been there with an AR-15 and could have taken this 16-year-old punk out.